Here's something that bugged me for weeks once I actually sat with it. We treat war like it's this obviously terrible thing humans eventually invented. Some corrupted offshoot of violence. But the more I read, the more it looked like the opposite. War doesn't come from humans getting worse at cooperating. It comes from us getting frighteningly good at it. One person hitting another over food. That's just a fight. 10 people surrounding another group at dawn, with a plan, with roles assigned, with somebody remembering an old grudge. That's a different category of thing entirely. And the frustrating part is that the first people who did this left no records, no boasting inscriptions, no exhausted king describing the operation going exactly as planned. They left bones, broken weapons, a handful of pits in the ground archaeologists are still arguing about, decades later without much consensus. So the honest starting point isn't a date, it's a question. Was this born among small wandering groups fighting over water and hunting ground? Or did it only really become organized once farming gave people fixed land, stored grain, and several very good reasons to stop sharing? Turns out you have to go further back than either answer to really get at it. Because before humans could go to war, we first had to become exceptionally good at trusting each other. I know that sounds backwards. But war isn't just aggression with a uniform on. Plenty of animals fight. Chimpanzees patrol territorial edges. Wolves defend hunting grounds. Ant colonies run invasions with something close to bureaucratic efficiency. What human warfare needs, though, is stranger than raw aggression. It needs people who aren't related to coordinate around a shared plan, accept real personal risk, hold on to grudges over time, and believe the group matters more than their own skin in that moment. Before we could become organized enemies, we had to become organized friends first. A single human alone isn't much. No claws worth mentioning. No armor. No ability to stay warm without stealing some other animal's coat. But put a handful of humans together, give them language, and suddenly they're capable of planning an ambush 3 days out. Language is the hinge here. Coordinated violence depends entirely on being able to talk about things that aren't currently happening. You need to name a target, agree on timing, explain out loud why everyone should show up. A punch just requires anger. A raid requires a meeting. The weapons were already sitting there, mostly built for something else. Wooden spears go back hundreds of thousands of years. Stone-tipped projectiles and bows let people injure something or someone from a distance, which was a genuine breakthrough for hunting and, quietly, terrible news for anyone on the wrong side of a disagreement. But weapons alone don't create war. What actually flips the switch is psychological, the ability to divide the world into us and them. That habit is what let humans cooperate at scales no other species manages. It also made it easier to fear outsiders, blame them, stop quite seeing them as people at all. War didn't show up because we stopped cooperating. It showed up because we got very particular about who our cooperation was for. There probably wasn't a dramatic first moment. It likely grew straight out of ordinary survival skill, the patience of tracking prey, closing in silently, striking at the right second, all of which already demanded coordination. At some point, those same skills got pointed at other humans instead. Maybe strangers wandered into a good hunting ground. Maybe a drought pushed 2 groups toward the same river. We'll never recover the original argument, but we can guess its shape, because it's had a suspiciously long career since. They took something from us. A small group seeking payback could trail its enemies, wait for the adults to be away, hit the camp when it was undefended. If it worked, people remembered. Children grew up hearing exactly who'd been killed and which group did it. And the next attack stopped being about the original theft. It became about the last attack. Revenge discovered compound interest. Bones are inconvenient witnesses. They can't tell you who started anything or what anyone wanted, but they can record violence, and a few sites make that record hard to look away from. Jebel Sahaba, a cemetery near the Nile in what's now northern Sudan, holds people who lived roughly 13,000 years ago, right at the tail end of the last ice age. Many skeletons show injuries from stone projectiles, across men, women, and children. Here's the detail that reframes the whole site for me. Some of those wounds had healed long before death, others hadn't. That's not one catastrophic afternoon. That's a cycle. Someone survived an attack, healed, and later ran into violence again. Then there's Nataruk, near Lake Turkana in Kenya, roughly 10,000 years old. At least 27 people died there, several with severe head trauma. One adult with a stone point still lodged near the skull. Some bodies were left where they fell instead of buried. The group included children. One woman was pregnant. It's difficult to look at that and land on a friendly misunderstanding. Still debated, but even the debate tells you something. This isn't a clean birthday for war. It's a glimpse into communities facing sudden, repeated danger from other humans, long before there were cities or standing armies to blame it on. The actual argument among researchers isn't whether prehistoric people killed each other. It's where you draw the line between a homicide, a feud, a raid, and something you'd honestly call war. An arrow wound proves somebody got shot. It says nothing about whether the shooter was acting alone or on behalf of a whole coalition. The bones don't respect our categories. They never have. Farming didn't invent this violence. It made walking away enormously more expensive. A mobile group could dodge a feud by moving to another valley. A farmer has a field, and fields don't travel. Once a community had sunk months of labor into clearing land and storing grain, that ground stopped being just a place to sleep. It became accumulated work, survival, packaged into a specific patch of earth. And a granary is a strange kind of object, useful because it gets you through a bad winter, and simultaneously a giant wooden sign announcing exactly where all your food is sitting. By the Neolithic, the evidence gets harder to explain away gently. At Talheim, in what's now Germany, a mass grave roughly 7,000 years old holds 34 people, men, women, children, many killed by blows to the head. That's not a duel between two warriors. That reads like the deliberate end of a community. Fortified settlements start appearing around the same period. Ditches, walls, palisades, architecture, quietly saying, we don't trust whoever's out there. Once conflict entered tradition, memory itself became a weapon. The enemy stopped being just whoever attacked you today. It became the group blamed for something years back. The outsider's children got warned about before they'd ever met one. Farming gave humans permanent homes. It also gave revenge a permanent address. Modern war looks nothing like a Neolithic raiding party. Satellites, encrypted communications, industrial supply chains. But the machinery changed, and the underlying psychology mostly didn't. States mobilize millions of strangers by convincing them they belong to one imagined group. Flags, anthems, borders, and suddenly, people who will never meet feel like us. That same instinct shows up in something as small as a sports crowd insisting we won after 90 minutes on a couch, or an online community patrolling its own boundaries. No weapon required beyond a comment section. The old wiring didn't disappear when we built governments. It just scaled up. Which doesn't mean any of this was ever inevitable. And that's the part worth holding on to. The same species capable of organizing raids also writes peace treaties, builds trade networks across old enemy lines, and keeps slowly widening the definition of who counts as one of us. Violence is ancient, so is restraint. There probably wasn't one single day this began. Just a long, uneven discovery that the same cooperation keeping a group alive could be turned outward into something that kills. So when did it actually start? Long before cities, long before kings, maybe as far back as the first moment someone was able to think clearly, these are my people, which would make war a genuinely old family habit. The only mildly hopeful part is that families, on occasion, do actually manage to change.